Welcome back to the Deep Dive from Westferry Times. Today we're taking a closer look at something that touches almost all of us, social media and its impact right here in the UK.
Hello.
We'll be exploring, the effects on mental health, our relationships, even our politics. It's about understanding how these platforms are really shaping day-to-day life. And joining us again is Dr. Marcus Lane, a social psychologist and media researcher. You spent, what, over a decade looking into this digital world? Great to have you.
Hello. Thanks for having me back. It's definitely a topic with a lot to unpack.
Absolutely. So maybe let's start with the journey. How social media evolved here in the UK. I'm thinking back, MySpace, Bebo. Seems like another era.
Oh, it really does. Rapid evolution is putting it mildly. We went from those early players in the mid-2000s, MySpace, Bebo,
Right.
to the current landscape dominated by Facebook, X, Instagram, and now, increasingly, TikTok and Snapchat. Visually driven, much faster paced.
And the sheer number of people using them now is staggering, isn't it?
It is. The latest figures suggest something like nearly 85% of UK adults use at least one platform regularly.
Wow, 85%.
Yeah. So it's not niche anymore. It's completely woven into the fabric of daily life.
So it's moved way beyond just like checking in on friends.
Oh, absolutely. It's how many people get their news now, how they maintain friendships, build professional networks, even dating. It's fundamental for so many interactions.
Which leads us naturally to a pretty heavy topic. Mental health. We hear so much about the links, especially for younger people. What's the research actually telling us?
Well, the research does point towards some pretty significant concerns. There's a documented correlation, particularly for adolescents and young adults, between heavy social media use and higher rates of anxiety, depression, and certainly body image issues.
Why is that, do you think? What is it about the platforms?
A big part of it seems to be the way platforms are often designed. They can really encourage social comparison. You're constantly seeing these curated, often highly idealized versions of other people's lives.
The highlight reel effect.
Exactly, the highlight reel. And that can easily lead to feelings of inadequacy, like your own life doesn't measure up. Plus, there's this pressure for constant self-performance, presenting this perfect image online. It can be exhausting.
Right. That need for validation through likes and comments. But it's not all negative, is it? You mentioned before there can be upsides too.
That's crucial, yes. It's definitely a double-edged sword. While those risks are very real, social media can also be a source of genuine connection and support.
Like finding communities.
Precisely. People find communities around shared interests, hobbies, even difficult life experiences. Think about online mental health support groups, for example. For some, it provides access to resources or a sense of belonging they might not find offline. It can also be a platform for self-expression.
So it really depends how we use it then, not just that we use it.
Exactly. The way you engage makes all the difference. Are you mindlessly doom scrolling through negative news and comparing yourself to others, especially late at night? We all can be sometimes, but that pattern often correlates with lower mood and higher anxiety. On the other hand, if you're actively participating in supportive groups, learning new things, following accounts that inspire you, that can be a much more positive experience. It's about being mindful, really.
Mindful scrolling. I like
Yeah.
that. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. What about relationships? How has social media changed the way we connect or disconnect with people in the UK?
Well, again, it's mixed. On the plus side, it's obviously made it much easier to stay in touch with friends and family, especially over distances. You can reconnect with people from your past, meet new people with shared interests.
Sure.
But there are definite challenges. That whole Instagram versus reality thing we touched on, it can create unrealistic expectations in friendships and romantic relationships, seeing only the perfect moments.
Yeah, the curated perfection again.
Right. And then there's oversharing, blurring boundaries, sometimes jealousy sparked by seeing interactions online, more comparison. It adds layers of complexity.
I can imagine. And for romantic relationships specifically.
It can strengthen them sharing experiences, easy communication, but it can also strain them. Issues around trust can pop up, maybe monitoring online activity, misinterpreting messages or likes, because you lose all the nonverbal cues.
Text-based arguments are the worst.
They can be incredibly
Yeah.
difficult, yeah. Tone gets lost so easily.
And breakups must be a whole different ballgame now.
Oh, absolutely. Much more complicated. You've got these digital ghosts, old photos, tags, memories popping up. It can make moving on harder. Then there's the potential for online stalking in some cases, and even just the public nature of changing a relationship status online adds pressure.
Yeah, navigating that digital footprint. Okay, let's move to another huge area, UK politics. It feels like social media is now central to political campaigning and discussion.
Undeniably central. It's become a primary battleground. We saw it clearly with Brexit, with recent general elections. Campaigns use platforms to reach voters directly, often with very specific targeted messages.
Targeted advertising.
Exactly. And that raises questions about transparency. Who is funding these ads? Who are they targeting? Then you have algorithmic bias content that gets lots of engagement, maybe angry reactions, gets pushed out more, not necessarily because it's accurate.
And misinformation.
Misinformation and disinformation are huge problems. It spreads rapidly, it's hard to correct, and it can genuinely sway public opinion. It feels like sometimes different groups are operating in completely separate realities based on the information they see online.
That's a worrying thought, this idea of fragmented truth or echo chambers.
That's precisely it. Echo chambers or filter bubbles. The algorithms are designed to show you more of what you already like and agree with.
To keep you engaged.
Right, take you on the platform longer. But the side effect is that you end up in this environment where your existing views are constantly reinforced, and you see less and less content that challenges you or offers a different perspective.
So everyone just gets their own biases confirmed, basically.
Yeah. It can certainly contribute significantly to that. And this reinforcement loop is seen as a major driver of the increasing political and social polarization we're observing. It makes dialogue across divides much harder.
If you're not even seeing the same basic information, how can you debate?
It erodes that common ground, that shared understanding, which is pretty fundamental for a healthy democracy.
And what about things like online activism? Does keyboard activism actually lead to change?
It's complex. Raising awareness online, like we saw with #MeToo or Black Lives Matter, can be incredibly powerful for mobilizing people initially. But the big question is always about the follow-through. Does that online support translate into sustained, real-world action and policy change? Sometimes yes, sometimes perhaps less so.
You mentioned the algorithms creating these echo chambers. Could you maybe explain a bit more about how they actually work? How do they filter things?
Sure. So at a basic level, they're tracking everything you do. What you click, like, share, comment on, how long you watch a video, who you follow.
All that data.
Masses of data. And they use machine learning to build a profile of your interests and predict what you'll engage with next. So if you tend to like posts from one political perspective, it learns that and shows you more of the same, and maybe less from opposing views.
So it's constantly personalizing your feed.
Exactly. Creating that filtered world. A platform like TikTok, for instance, with its very fast-paced video feed, can potentially funnel users into quite specific niches or viewpoints very quickly based on watch time. Facebook might be slightly different because your existing friend network introduces some variety, but the algorithmic filtering is still powerful there too.
It's like a custom-made information bubble. Feels nice, maybe, but limits your view.
That's a good way to put it. And scaled up across society, that limitation contributes to the polarization we've been talking about. Makes it harder to empathize or even understand different perspectives.
Okay, but on the flip side, hasn't social media also given a voice to people who maybe didn't have one before? Facilitating activism.
Absolutely, that's the other side of the coin. It has been a hugely powerful tool for democratizing voice. Movements like #MeToo, Black Lives Matter here in the UK and globally. They gained incredible momentum online.
Right.
It allowed individuals to share personal stories on a massive scale, connect with others, organize, and demand change in ways that were much harder before. It bypasses traditional media gatekeepers to some extent.
But then we also hear a lot about cancel culture. How does that fit into the picture? Is it accountability or something else?
Well, it's really complex, isn't it? The intention behind holding people accountable for harmful words or actions is often understandable, even necessary.
Sure.
But the way it sometimes plays out online,
Yeah.
it can lead to disproportionate consequences. A single mistake blown way out of proportion, massive pile-ons, little room for apology, learning, or nuance.
Yeah, nuance gets lost easily online.
It really does. The speed, the character limits, the emotional nature of online discourse, it doesn't always lend itself to thoughtful discussion or forgiveness. It can become quite punitive and simplistic.
It's looking forward now. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they're growing up completely immersed in this. How do you think it's shaping them? Are they savvier about it?
That's the million-dollar question, really. They are true digital natives. They don't know a world without it. They're definitely fluent in using the tech.
Right.
But whether that translates into a deeper understanding of the psychological impacts or the risks, That's less clear. They might be more aware of some pitfalls because the conversation is happening around them.
Hmm.
But the integration into their social lives, their identity formation, it's incredibly deep. So education becomes even more critical, teaching digital literacy, critical thinking about online information, emotional regulation skills for navigating online interactions,
Yeah.
safety. It's vital.
Which brings us to regulation. Given all these impacts, good and bad, what's the role for regulation in the UK?
I think most people agree some level of thoughtful regulation is needed. The UK's online safety bill is a major attempt to address harms, especially towards children and vulnerable
Right,
users.
that's been going through Parliament.
Yes. But it's a really tricky balancing act. How do you protect people from harm like illegal content, bullying, disinformation, without unduly restricting free expression or stifling innovation? Finding that right balance, especially with tech evolving so fast, is a huge challenge for policymakers.
Definitely not easy.
Yeah.
So wrapping things up a bit for individuals listening, what practical steps can people take to have a healthier relationship with social media?
There are definitely things we can all do. First, just being aware of your usage, maybe setting some screen time limits, using the tools on your
Yeah,
phone.
those can be eye-opening.
They care. Also, curate your feed actively. Unfollow accounts that make you feel bad, anxious, or inadequate. Be intentional about who you follow.
To control back a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And take breaks. Regular digital detoxes, even just for an evening or a weekend, can give you perspective. There are even apps that track your mood alongside your usage, which can reveal patterns.
Oh, interesting.
And fundamentally, always try to remember you're usually seeing the highlight reel. Compare your real, messy life to someone else's curated online perfection. It's a recipe for feeling rubbish. Keep that critical lens.
Really solid advice there. Thank you so much. This has been incredibly insightful, unpacking the layers of social media's impact in the UK. It's so complex, and you've really helped clarify things.
My pleasure. It's an ongoing conversation and an important one to keep having.
Couldn't agree more. And a huge thank you to everyone listening to this deep dive on Westferry Times. If you found this useful, maybe share it, start a conversation with someone. Remember, the goal is for these tools to serve us, not the other way around. Thanks again for tuning in to Westferry Times. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more discussions like this. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay curious.